What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Coast to Coast podcast. In our way too early prediction videos, we have our way too early wide receiver ranking. Just for reference, I'm in the left corner. Carson, Carson's up top, and Jose is on the right
Yeah.
side. So, let's get into this. Carson, Jose, they got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah himself, at number one. Jose, how about you give your piece, and then Carson, you can add on.
Yeah. I mean, this was a guy that was, finally broke out as a consistent option week to week in 2020. And, after that Super Bowl loss, I think he definitely got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to come back better than ever, look unguardable, especially in the beginning of the year. They're going to be firing on all cylinders. I mean, he finished as wide receiver 2 last year. So I think, he can finish at around that area, again.
Yeah, same. I kind of have the same sort of thing. Just like after that terrible Super Bowl loss, he got embarrassed by Winfield. I think just like the revenge tour is coming, and he really is kind of like unguardable. And I think with the healthy O line coming back, just the chip on the shoulder, and I just don't because I think at the beginning of the season they kind of held back a bit. Like it took them, they're trying to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire involved and get that running game going. Kind of not showing as much as they as the Chiefs usually do, but I think coming in next season, they're just gonna like you said, Jose said, just firing on all cylinders, and that they're just gonna go at everybody and just unleash, havoc. I think it's gonna be a lot like how they did 2 seasons or Mahomes' first season, his rookie season, where they just like went crazy. I could see like another like 50 touchdown season. That's kind of what I'm feeling. So that's why I have Hill at 1.
Yeah, definitely understandable. The most unguardable person in the league. But then again, Todd Bowles, the master defensive mind himself, was able to slow the man down himself. So who knows? Teams might be able to implement this game plan, but at the same time, you can't teach speed. So at my wide receiver number 1, something that you guys have the number 3 on your list, I got Stephon Diggs. He scares me. In one season of no OTAs and no training camp, he showed out in his first season in Buffalo. Seeing him watch that championship celebration just gives me such a storyline for him going in the next season. He's going to continue to spout the greatness in the history books as the Bills could go down as the Bills' greatest wide receiver in history. I think if he keeps up this work, keeps going for a couple more years, I expect him to put up even better numbers. I got a bold prediction out here. I think he's going to go over 1650 with 12 touchdowns and 100-plus catches again. He can beat you in so many ways. He's a vertical threat. He's one of the best route runners we have in the league, and I think Buffalo got themselves a legendary talent. And just kind of looking at his numbers from last year, 127 receptions, 1,535 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Obviously, some phenomenal numbers in terms of receptions and yards. One of the, led the league in both of those categories. But, I'm just really have faith in this guy. I think, we're going to see some slowing down from Cole Beasley. As good as a receiver he is, it's going to be hard for him to maintain it given his age. And, I think John Brown will take a step and Gabriel Davis will take a step. But this guy's the man of this offense. Him and Josh Allen are just going to continue to get better because when it comes down to it, I think Josh Allen has so much more to progress as a quarterback in terms of in respect to a lot of these other quarterbacks that are on this list. These quarterback wide receiver duos on this list, so I just have a lot of faith for him going into the next season. So we'll get into this next one. We got all 3 of us. I think this is the first time we've all had the same person in the same spot. We got Davante Adams, Packers star wide receiver, at number 2. Carson, I'll let you handle this one. What do you got to say about Adams and him being up this high?
Not much, honestly. Just the fact, same scheme. I personally think, he's like the best overall wide receiver in the league. And I think, just another year in the system, same team, hopefully they can maybe upgrade at another wide receiver spot, get him a little help and maybe, so it won't be seen as great and maybe, eliminate double teams and whatnot. But I don't know. There's really not much else. He was a monster last season. He's still going to have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones leaving, might hurt just a little bit. But, these two have such great chemistry. And it just, I don't really see why, he can't repeat or have just as great of a season as last season.
Jose, you got to add?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that played less games than everyone else in the top 12 and beat the next guy by 30 points, averaging almost 26 points per game. I mean, just the most consistent connection in the league for sure with him and Aaron Rodgers. And even with the controversy right now surrounding them, I think this is a guy that is the most complete receiver in the league. He might not be the most athletic, might not be the fastest, but he's gonna get open. He's gonna get his touchdowns. He's gonna go out there and eat against anybody that he lines up against. So I think for sure we're poised to see another great Davante Adams year.
Yeah, I think the only thing that concerns me is just the amount of touchdowns that he had this season going in the next season. It's going to be hard for him to put up 18 plus touchdowns again, which is, kind of an unfathomable pace to stay at. Then again, we've seen receivers in the past, all-time greats, be able to keep up with that. We got the Terrell Owens, the Randy Mosses, um, Jerry Rice, and such. But I think with Davante Adams, just like you said, he's the number one option by a long shot out there in Green Bay. So we'll see. Tanyan's a pending free agent. Hopefully they can re-sign him. But like you said, Jones is definitely out, especially with the cap situation they have there in Green Bay. So let's move on to number 3. You guys have Stephon Diggs. Obviously, I touched on it earlier, but Jose, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered most of it. This guy was a receiving leader. He's going to have another year of chemistry in that offense and with Josh Allen. I think he's definitely, here to stay in this elite wide receiver territory. And the thing that we've seen with Stephon Diggs last year that, we hadn't seen in his first few years was that he was healthy. Like the whole season, he stayed healthy. He was consistent. He put up double digits every single game. I just don't see why, he couldn't repeat that. As long as he stays healthy, obviously you can't predict injuries, but as long as he's healthy, I've got him out there every single week as a top 3 option.
Carson?
Yeah, the only reason I really had him at 3 and not 1 or 2 is just I think he had such a great season and it's kind of hard to replicate that. And also I kind of expect them to get Gabriel Davis more involved, John Brown more involved because he kind of was like a non-factor last season. And I also expect them to possibly upgrade at running back or maybe even tight end. So that just takes a few more targets away. But I mean, there's still him and Allen are one of the best connections in the league, and I think they're just going to keep growing. But I just think it's just going to be the targets might just go down a little bit because I think other guys are going to step up and might get involved just a little bit more. But he's still going to be amazing.
Understood. I made a bold prediction with having him that high, and I think that is his ceiling. I think we all can agree that he has a ceiling to be the number 1 wide receiver. But especially getting a running back is going to change that offense entirely. Are they going to go for one? Do they think that Zach Moss can stick it out? Me personally, I think all of us on here can agree that that's probably not the way. They got to go after one of these backs in free agency because there's a pretty good amount of them. A lot of ones like Marlon Mack, especially someone that doesn't really have a place in the offense and the team that he's currently with, and even Aaron Jones, who seems that A.J. Dillon might be the way for them. So going into my wide receiver number 3, someone that Carson doesn't have on his list and Jose has a little bit farther down his list, I got Justin Jefferson. I think, going off another storyline, I think they set a fire under this guy not giving him Rookie of the Year. I'm not saying Herbert had a bad season at all. I think Herbert had a great year, but Justin Jefferson was one of the best rookie wide receivers we've seen in a long time, comparable to Randy Moss when he started off as a Viking, which is just crazy to see. I think, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 88 receptions as a rookie. And he didn't even really get factored in this offense until I think about week 4. It's just ridiculous to see. I think, with Thielen probably going to see some regression in his play as he gets older. I think he's on the other side of 30 by now. It's going to be Jefferson and Cook handling this team. It's going to be interesting to see in the draft if they do go another wide receiver to pair with Jefferson, probably in the later rounds. Don't want to waste a high pick on that. But I just have a really good feeling about it next year. I think he's just going to be torching DBs for the years to come. And I think, this is his ceiling, in my opinion. I wouldn't really see him being any higher than this. But I think that he's just going to go out there and prove why he should have won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that they were pretty much slotting him right into Stephon Diggs' place when he left in free agency. Or no, he was traded, right?
Yes, the pick was traded to get Diggs. I mean, the get
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jefferson.
So, I mean, this is a guy that pretty much just took his spot, and I don't think they're regretting that at all. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be the face of their franchise for the next who knows how many years, but yeah, he's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most like fair trades like in all of sports. I feel like when you talk
Win-win.
about just like, I think it's totally fair. Like just both teams got exactly what they wanted out of it.
Yeah. I mean, was it called? I don't know if that Jefferson Allen connection would have worked. I feel like Diggs, being in the league for a couple of years, kind of helped out. That he was kind of more some veteran like presence out there to be able to adjust without an OTAs and such. But
yeah, it was a better like win now mode instead of like obviously like Jefferson they could have like built something for the future, but I think the Bills were like ready for that win now mode, and of course that's what they showed.
Who would have known? Who knows if the Bills would even drafted him? Who knows? They probably could have drafted Jalen Reagor as far as we're concerned. But going on, we got the copycat lists of you two guys so far. We got DeAndre Hopkins for you guys at number 4, Nuke himself, Mr. D-Hop catching it over these boys. Carson, what do you guys say about having D-Hop on your list?
I mean, I feel like he's been a top 5 fantasy guy for the last like 3-4 seasons. Like he's just always, finds a way to get in like that top 5. Super consistent. Another year with Kyler, and in that offense. I mean, it's D-Hop. There's not really much else to say. I just, he's always been the top 5, and I think kind of like he kind of tops out at like 4 or 5. I don't really see him, like jumping up in front of those guys, especially like with the coaching that they have in Arizona. But Hopkins has been as safe as they get.
Yeah, Jose.
I mean, this is a guy that he's pretty much QB proof. This guy was out there putting up great seasons with Brock Osweiler and stuff as QB. So I think it doesn't really matter, even with Murray's inconsistencies. Sometimes this guy's gonna find a way to get open. And he's going to be elite every single week. I mean, I'm not benching DeAndre Hopkins for pretty much anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think he had, a really good season last year. And I think they're going to be able to fit him into that scheme a lot better next year. Maybe spread the ball around a little bit more, get some more weapons. But, I didn't even notice these lists were that similar until now. At least in the top four.
I know, it's crazy. I was going to say, the only week that you might consider benching D-Hop is when he goes against his worst nightmare, Jalen Ramsey. But moving on for my number 4, I got, kind of a surprise pick, a pretty high person on here. I got Allen Robinson the second, 102 receptions, 1,250 yards, and 6 touchdowns as Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky were his quarterback. I think he's out of Chicago this year. I've seen a lot of circulation as of recently that he might stay. I think that's stupid. He needs to finally go play with a quarterback with actual talent. He's never really had one. I mean, Blake Bortles, like when he was like decent, has probably been the best quarterback he's played in his career thus far, since dating back to college even. I think he's going to finally find a team with a good quarterback. He's, like I said, never had a good one in his career. He's already a top 10 receiver, and I think he's going to be the Diggs of next season. I think it's either going to be him or Chris Godwin. Those are my predictions. Who would be – obviously, Chris Godwin would find his way onto this list later on if he does go to another team. But, now at the Super Bowl, who knows if he'll stay. But no, I mean, Allen Robinson's got one of the best, sure hands in the league. He's always been top of catch percentages. And I think, a team that can be able to utilize him, I think he's got some good stuff ahead of him. So – yeah. I know you guys got him later in this list, so I'll let you guys tackle him then. So moving on to number 5, we all have a different number 5 person. I had Hopkins, so not really too much to say. You guys touched on it already. So Jose, you got Calvin Ridley, so on that. Carson and I don't even have on our list, so give your case for Calvin.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised when you guys didn't have him on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he's clearly the wide receiver 1 of this team now. Especially, after last year, he had one of the greatest starts, for a wide receiver. And he finished as a wide receiver 5 last year, even though he kind of fell off towards the end a little bit. I think he was like, dealing with some knick-knack injuries, but yeah, he had a great season. He was consistent, and I don't see why he couldn't do it again. Even with Julio there, I think that just makes it easier, takes a little bit of the load off him, allows him to really go to work and not have so much pressure on his back. So I think for sure we see another great season from Ridley.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah, you
can't
made
go
a good
against
point
that.
about Julio. I just think I just don't really see him coming back. That was kind of my thought with him because I love Ridley. He barely missed the list for me. But just the fact that Julio might be gone, more coverage on him, and also I think it's just going to be a transition year at quarterback. I kind of expect the Falcons to draft a quarterback, and I mean I don't know. I mean Matt Ryan is only getting older, still solidly productive, but I just feel like he either might end up on another team or like I said, it might be a transition, and I don't care how good the rookie is. There's going to be some bumps, and I think that might bring his production down just a little bit. But I mean,
Yeah,
still, that offense is super high powered. So I get where you're coming from.
yeah. Speaking of that offense, I was watching a PFF mock draft today, and they had the Falcons trading down in the draft and selecting Florida tight end Kyle Pitts. As good as Aussie Hayden Hurst is, adding another dynamic piece because Pitts is someone that also can play outside, and that'd just be crazy to see in that offense, just how electric it'd be. But like you said, Carson, they should go quarterback. Matt Ryan, is slowly regressing as a thrower, and they need to get someone out there to replace him. Even though I got Matt Ryan in my top 10. Wow, we don't need to go back on that. So, Jose, you got A.J. Brown, someone that I'm very fond of, is number 5 on your list. What do you got to say about that one?
Carson. It's Carson.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
sorry,
my
Carson.
list, but
My
it's
bad.
all good. Yeah, I'm super high on him too. I mean, he was a monster last year, and I think, like Adams, I mean, they both still had really good seasons, even though I think Brown, he missed the first at least 4 or 5 games or something like that. And he still put up monster stats. I mean, he is the wide receiver one. Yeah, it's a run heavy offense, but they still are able, Tannehill's still, solid enough. He, gets the numbers there. And they actually had a lot of games where, they were throwing a lot. And he's just a monster, man. I think, he doesn't get as much love as, maybe a Metcalf or some of the other guys in his class, but he's a beast, bro. And I expect huge things. I just expect a ton of volume, especially if Corey Davis doesn't come back. Yeah, he'll get extra coverage and whatnot, better coverage because he won't have him on that side. But he's just gonna get so many targets, and he's their guy. And touchdown monster. He's insane, bro. I'm huge on him, and yeah, I like him at 5.
Yeah, I mean, 11 touchdowns in that many games he played. He seemed like he was catching a touchdown every single game, which is honestly good for fantasy owners that held on to him. Let's move on. We got number 6, obviously some players that have already been touched on. I'll tackle this one first since I have your guys' number 1 at number 6 on my list. I think, Tyreek Hill is definitely one of the, most unguardable players in this league, but I just see some slight regression from him. I think he's not going to have a terrible season at all, but I do expect the Chiefs to draft another wide receiver in the draft this year. I think they've had some projects that haven't really panned out for them. I mean, Sammy Watkins is fine. Obviously, he's really on the field a lot. I think Cole Harbin's really just kind of a Swiss Army knife tool at this point. I don't really see him as much as a route runner at all. I think they should target, someone that might be down there like Rondell Moore at the bottom of the first round. Just some couple of things because they just need to, keep building on that luxury that they have. And I think Tyreek Hill, like I was talking about earlier, what's his name? Todd Bowles was able to slow him down. I think a lot of teams, especially in that division, are going to try and pick it up. Obviously, the Chargers are a very talented defense, and the Broncos are a very talented defense. They should be able to, try and implement some of that stuff. The Raiders, I don't know, they're always so skeptical. But no, I mean,
they beat the Chiefs though.
That is true though, but I just see
you can't take them seriously.
A little bit of slowing down from Tyreek Hill. Not too much, but I mean, I can obviously see him. I wouldn't really necessarily put him number 1 if I, could a ceiling, but definitely top 3 in my opinion. So let's just move on. Jose, what do you got to say about Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy that you said he broke Randy Moss's record for yards as a rookie for the Vikings, and he put up 7 touchdowns, which is more than Julio puts up on a regular year. So I think he's only going to build on that. He's going to have more chemistry in that offense. More firepower next year. And I think he's going to really take over as that wide receiver one, the outside guy, because last year, he said he really didn't get going until I think you said week 4. What was it?
Yeah, that's when he's starting.
Yeah.
He wasn't starting at wide receiver.
I think now for sure, they know what he is, from week 1, from the get-go, so they'll get him involved early and often. And, I think he's poised for a great season. And I just want to see more consistency from him. Less of those volatile performances where he'll put up like 6 and then come back and put up 42. Just see more consistency, be the guy for them. That's what
it was definitely interesting because there was a point I remember in the season where I think there's about a stretch of like 3 or so games where Dalvin Cook was their only form of offense. And obviously Dalvin Cook was playing phenomenal, having like 200 yards a game. But then that just meant that Thielen and Jefferson were doing nothing. So like you said, he does need to see some consistency out there. But, add those extra games of him actually being in the offense. Who says he can't be 100 reception, at still like 1,300 yards and get a couple more TDs? Because Thielen, if y'all don't remember, was a TD machine this year. I think he finished at least top 5 in receiving touchdowns. I know that because he was on my fantasy team because he'd save me some touchdowns there once in a while. But Carson, you got Allen Robinson, number 6 on your list. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, I like him for the exact same reason like you touched on earlier. Just the fact that he's been, a top 10 guy like the last couple of years, despite having like terrible quarterbacks, just says a lot about him and his talent. And just, still, even if he still is on the Bears, I still like him. I'd probably move him, maybe to like the 9 or 10 spot just because of how good he is. But if he gets on, a new team, just someone with, I mean, literally like any other quarterback, I feel like would be an upgrade for him. It could be over. Like that's what he's been waiting for. It would just rejuvenate him. Like you said, I love the comparison to like this year's Diggs or Hopkins, where they get to a new team and just explode. And I just love that factor with him, and I can't wait to see hopefully where he goes and not just staying on the Bears.
For sure. So now we're going into number 7. We see some new faces up here. Obviously, I got AJ Brown, who's already been touched on. But Carson, actually, no. Yeah, Carson, we'll go back to you. Keenan Allen, obviously a very reliable fantasy option. Mr. Safety Blanket himself for Justin Herbert. What do you got to say about him at number 7?
Yeah, reliable safety blanket. I mean, he's like Herbert's guy. He gets a ton of targets, ton of catches. I mean, and I think last year, I'm not sure the touchdown numbers.
I got the stats. He's got 8 touchdowns.
8 touchdowns. I think like that's actually low for the volume that he gets. I think that could just go up and up. And he's just been super consistent. Herbert's go-to guy, and Herbert, I think despite his rookie of the year season, I think he only has he's only going up from there. I think he's that talented. And I just like the fact that he's been consistent for all these years. Kind of like Hopkins, where it's like it doesn't matter the quarterback, you always kind of expect him to be in that 10 to 15 range. And I just love the fact that now he gets Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. So that's why I have him at 7.
For sure. And then Jose, you got DK Metcalf. Actually, the only one of us, like how you're the only one who has Ridley, you're the only one that has Metcalf here on his list. What's your case for him?
Yeah, I mean, this guy put up more yards in 2020 than Tyreek Hill, and he put up double-digit touchdowns. As the clear wide receiver one of this team, I really hate comparing him to Megatron, but I kind of love it at the same time because that's just really who I see in him. Just like that guy who wants the ball in overtime. That guy who's gonna go out there and get it no matter what. And I mean, we saw that this year. Obviously, they had a bit of a struggle at the end of the season with the offense and the coaching, but I think they'll figure it out in the offseason, get the chemistry back up, and come back stronger than ever next year. I definitely could see him finishing higher than 7, but I think he's got the work ethic to finish in this position next year.
Yeah, I think he's obviously a super talented receiver. I just kind of worried because I know they fired their OC Brian Schottenheimer, and kind of worries that, are they going to go back to a run-heavy offense? That's been the reason why they've made these deep playoff runs in the past. That's a little reason why it worries me about DK, but DK is like number 12 on my list. When it comes down to it, he's like right. Him and Ridley just missed it out for me. But, he's the most probably the most physically gifted receiver that's in the NFL. Okay, so going on to number 8, we got myself with Keenan Allen. We got Carson with Slant God, Michael Thomas, and we got
Slant
Jose
God.
AJ Brown. I'll tackle Keenan Allen, like you were saying, Carson. One of the most reliable options you can get in fantasy. Won me a championship a couple years ago when I was able to snag him and George Kittle in a finesse trade. But
Goobs,
but
if
no,
you're
Keenan,
watching.
exactly. Goobs, if you're watching, rest in peace. But no, 100 receptions, 992 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Less than 1,000 yards for someone like Keenan Allen just seems ridiculous. I think he might have been out a game or two this year. Don't quote me on that, but
Shout out the very last game.
okay, but still, I mean, he's averaging less than 10 yards a catch, which is pretty low for a wide receiver. It's more of like a tight end thing you'd see. But I think he's going to have, another great season. I really like in this new I like Brandon Staley as this Chargers coach. I think he's, especially he's going to revive this defense, but I think he's going to be able to bring some spark into this offense. Keenan Allen's definitely one of the most talented receivers, one of the best route runners we have in the game, especially. So moving on, Jose, what's your case for AJ Brown?
Yeah, I mean, I think when healthy, he's definitely one of the most talented receivers in the league, and physically gifted. I mean, comparable to Metcalf. It's crazy to think these guys were teammates at some point. But yeah, I mean, he got over 1,000 yards and he missed like 3 games, I think, and he still averaged 18 points per game. So, one of the just pure talents out there. Seems like every game that he plays, he's catching touchdowns, he's getting the ball. And I think he's going to come back healthy next year, and he's going to have a great year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I actually forgot to mention him because he's at my number 7. Forgot to give my piece about him. But no, yeah, the same thing. Literally had 70 receptions and went over 1,000 yards, which is crazy, and 11 touchdowns. He's a huge deep play threat. But, like Carson was mentioning earlier, if Corey Davis does, not come back to Tennessee, it's going to be interesting to see. They probably have to look in the draft to replace him because they really don't have any other talent outside there. I know they got Adam Humphries, who's a slot guy, but that's not really going to take a lot of load off him. But, hopefully if Jonnu Smith able to come back and be healthy, that's going to take some, take the underneath away and let Brown work it up. So, Carson, obviously, you got the man himself, probably the most criticized wide receiver in the league. We got Michael Thomas. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, like, it kind of hurts me to put him on there just because, I feel like, yeah, he's definitely like one of the most, sports hated guys in all of sports. But I don't know, just like, obviously, super disappointed last year, just, couldn't get healthy. But, this is a guy that's 2 years removed from having like a monster, like one of the best like wide receiver fantasy seasons like ever. And, I think, either or like with Hill, I think, he's still valuable because I think, he's kind of like that safety blanket for Taysom Hill as he develops as a passer. And then I like him more upside with Winston because if they end up starting Jameis, I mean, look what he did with Mike Evans and, Godwin. Those two were both top 5 receivers when, Winston was there. And I just love that pairing. If they were to start Winston and, when he's healthy, hate him, call him a slant God, but he still puts up numbers. He's still super consistent when he's healthy. And I think people are just going to forget about him just because he was, Breeze might retire and then he was injured all last season. So I kind of like him as a value just because he has that, top 5 wide receiver upside fantasy wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's when it comes to me, why I didn't put him on this list. I think it's have a lot of higher opinions about people above him, but like you're saying, like he's been a consistent option. Just kind of looking at his career numbers, came into the league in 2016. Excluding this year, he's never had a season under 90 yards. He's never had a season under 110 receiving yards. Lowest touchdowns he's ever had is 5 outside of this year. I mean, he's a consistent option. It's going to be hard for people to stray away from him, given the fact that he's had such a lustrous career. But it's going to be interesting to see because he kind of had a down season this year. But he's going to be extremely high valuable pick if you can get him in the
And he has the whole offseason to get healthy because that was huge last year. He just could never – I feel like he was just never fully healthy. So he finally gets that offseason to rest. So Like that's my thinking behind it.
Yeah, I think if Taysom Hill is the starter, though, it does raise some question marks. I hope Sean Payton goes Jameis because Jameis, as much as he had that, as much as Jameis had that, 30-30 season, I think he's a talented quarterback.
Yeah, you just have to take the good that he brought. Like, the 30 interceptions, but you're putting him in a system where it's like, Sean Payton, one of the best coaches, like a system that can, eliminate those interceptions, capitalize on like the talent that he has. And he got that eye surgery, so hey, that's got to count for something.
How many touchdowns Breeze throws on average? Like 25, maybe 24, 25-ish?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I mean, at least in the recent years.
Let's say
last couple years.
Let's say Jameis cuts his interceptions down to like 12 and he throws like a similar amount of touchdowns. I mean, I think you take that as a organization that just lost, their franchise guy for so long. I think you take that. And I don't think Hill can put up, 20 plus throwing touchdowns in a season like Jameis can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't trust him as a passer.
And I think when it comes down to it, the reason why he hasn't been a big deep play threat is because his quarterback doesn't have the arm strength. And I mean, Jameis sure as hell does have the arm strength because that man, I mean, he arm punts. He also throws some deep balls he used to throw some deep balls to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which has made them such reliable fantasy options a couple of years ago. So number 8 wrapped up. We head into number 9. I got myself Terry McLaurin. Love that man. Scary Terry. Carson's got himself Robert Woods, and Jose got Allen Robinson. Jose, I'll let you tackle this one first. Allen Robinson, I know. Carson and I already gave our pieces, but what you got to add on?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could be higher. I just put him down here because I really don't know what team he's going to be on. I hope it's not the Bears, but I think he's definitely, one of the best talents at receiver. Had one of his most consistent seasons in a while, and probably his best season since that 2015 AFC playoff run that they had, crazy year. I think for sure he's going to finish top 10. I hope he goes to a great, a team with a great QB so he can really, get his bag because that's what he needs, bro. Like, pay this man. He's so talented to just be, on the Bears rotting his career away. But, I really want to see him thrive in the new offense. And I really hope he proves me wrong. I hope he finishes higher than 9.
Yeah, and then looking at number 9 for Carson, you got Robert Woods, receiver who, has really kind of come into his own since coming to the Rams. Was sort of not really the greatest receiver, probably wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in Buffalo back in the day. But now he's got himself Matty Stafford. Carson, what's your case for Woods?
Pretty boring pick. I feel like because he's been super consistent the last few years. But it's just like you kind of look at Robert Woods. It's not really like an exciting, flashy pick. It's like, what you're getting with him. And I just think that, he's been like kind of, around like the top. He's always like maybe not like in the top 10, but he's always like top like 15, top 20. He's always in there. And I think just to upgrade, with Stafford, I think, I just like his upside more instead of Kupp just because he's more of a deep threat. Kupp's more like the slot inside guy. He can't go deep as well, but I think Woods just does it a little bit more. And I just like that I love that connection with Stafford. I think he, boosts his normal numbers up just a little bit more where he's able to like crack that top 10. So I'm excited for Stafford because he's been a guy. It's like, we're always like, we want to see him on a good team. Well, it's like, he finally has that good team. And so I'm like super excited to see, cause they have a Super Bowl ceiling, like the Rams with the talent they have, like with the coaching. So like, I'm excited to see it. I think Woods is going to be a huge part of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've given Matt Stafford all these excuses in the career, and he's finally got to show it. If he doesn't do it, it's going to hinder his Hall of Fame chances. I think he does have Hall of Fame chances regardless, given that he's got such all-time stats. But and then I saw some crazy shit my friend was telling me about that J.J. Watt would consider going to the Rams. I was like, I would just max protect, put like 5 extra blockers out there for the Niners if I have to deal with J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald coming after us. But like you're saying, there will be Super Bowl contenders. But number 9 for myself, I got Scary Terry. I just think he needs himself a good quarterback. He's played Dwayne Haskins Kyle Allen. I mean, as good as as much as we love Alex Smith, he's far from the Alex Smith that he was back in, his later 49er days and his Kansas City days. But I think, they need to end up and try and find a way to get a quarterback this offseason. Whether that be probably the realistic options would be for them to get Trey Lance or Mac Jones, and they can trade up into 8 to 12 range. But regardless, this man's shown that he's quarterback proof. He's an insane deep threat and continues to produce. Scary Terry's just going to be scaring those NFC East secondaries for years to come. Just looking at his stats this year, with virtually, not really a good, I wouldn't really say he even had a starting quarterback throwing to him. 87 receptions for 1,118 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think that touchdown volume is definitely going to increase to at least probably 8 or so next season. I just really have some faith in this guy. Just I've really been obsessed with him ever since he's come out and been sure that he's a star. I really think that him and Brown are the top receivers in this draft for a fact. As much as DK Metcalf is just this otherworldly talent, I just really have had a thing for I just think McLaurin's going to be a great wide receiver, and I could see him having a higher ceiling if he finds a way to get a stud quarterback. And I know someone you guys don't even have on your list, but I'm assuming he'd be within your top.
Second 15. That. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's at 12 for me.
Yeah. So going on to number 10, we all have a different person here. Obviously, Jose, you got Keenan Allen, who we've mentioned before. I got myself DJ Moore, and Carson's got himself T. Higgins.
T. Higgins. T. Higgins.
T. Higgins. Excuse the picture of actually Rashard Higgins. We got a little mix up there, but Carson, I'll let you handle this one since you had the more of the controversial pick here. T. Higgins obviously had a great connection with Joe Burrow, and since obviously when Joe Burrow went down, that offense kind of went to nothing. But what do you guys say about this T. Higgins breakout for next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to be spicy with it. Just throw someone in there that people aren't expecting. I mean, I'm just a huge advocate for the second year jump. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with the quarterbacks. I mean, the wide receivers we have on this list, like AJ Brown, Metcalf, even Scary Terry as well. All 3 guys that had massive second years, and I just feel like Higgins is a prime candidate for that. Especially because healthy Burrow, you're getting healthy Joe Mixon, most likely no AJ Green, which I think is huge because he didn't really produce that much, but he got a lot of targets. A shit ton of targets. And I think, those targets are, Higgins is going to get a majority of those. Obviously that he has Tyler Boyd too, but I think that just helps him because I think, he's the true wide receiver one in the offense. They have he has the best connection, I feel like, with Burrow. So, just those extra targets being on the table, I think he's going to scoop up a majority of those. And, I don't know. That second year, just I'm salivating that. I think he's just going to have a monster year. Him and Burrow, just the connection is real.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as much as Boyd's been a good receiver, I feel like when it comes to a breakout candidate, it's going to be Higgins because, no. They win against each other in a college football championship. But, coming from 2 programs that, elite programs, I think Higgins really went under the radar there, going later in the draft because I think, people were mocking him pretty low in that draft. I think maybe 3rd or 4th round, then he started to climb his way back up there. And,
Which is weird because he had a great career at Clemson. He, was one of the, best wide receivers in the country, and he just kind of got, overshadowed by obviously the guys that were drafted ahead of him. But I don't know because he, why would you not take a guy like him that had a crazy career, the best college program over a guy like Jalen Reagor or something like that, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jalen Reagor just showed out with his speeds, really kind of his ability to release off the ball. But no,
yeah, everyone wants that next Tyreek Hill. Yeah,
I think when it comes down to it, when it comes draft time, I'm assuming Carson, you wouldn't be putting you wouldn't draft,
No.
Yeah, T. Higgins, but I think, but I think he definitely is going to fall in a flex position. I think you got to scoop him up there. I mean, I agree with you too. I think this man's got some potential to go crazy. But yeah, Jose, what do you got to say about Keenan Allen? Getting thrown to by that Oregon quarterback stud himself.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered most of it. I think the stat that really just blew my mind was that he had 100 receptions, but less He didn't even hit 1,000 yards, which, I mean, is kind of what you want for a PPR guy, just crazy receptions. But I think we can definitely see him get those yards up. Um, you know, I need to see more, more weapons in that offense being used, so he can really get going and, not just take all the focus from the defense. Because at one point, I don't know if he finished as the most targeted receiver, but he definitely was at one point in the season. Like, every time the announcers would mention him, they'd be like, "Oh, there's the most targeted receiver in the NFL, Keenan Allen." So, yeah, I just want to see him get those yards up and want to see them, really incorporate, different pieces in the offense so he can get going.
Yeah, definitely someone you can't go wrong having as your top wide receiver on your roster. But obviously I got DJ Moore here, but I just kind of want to read off his stats. 66 receptions, which you'd expect him to have missed a bunch of games, but not really the case. 1,193 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's got higher yards than Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, and Robert Woods, who also finds his way on Carson's list. I just think, he kind of had a tale of two seasons for DJ Moore. The first part of the season was watching Robbie Anderson look like he was going to go for 2,000 yards to begin the season, which was kind of crazy. And then, but the second half of the season, DJ Moore was just that stud. I mean, it kind of started. Curtis Samuel managed to fit his way into that. But I think, healthy McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and maybe Curtis Samuel if he comes back, if they're willing to give the guy money, which is going to be kind of hard to pay that many star offensive weapons. I just see DJ Moore having a better season. I think the thing that's holding him back, though, is quarterback play. I hope they find a way to draft a quarterback, give some competition to Teddy. I mean, as much as Teddy.
Or Watson, bro. Watson, like, with that offense would be ridiculous.
My God.
I saw a thing today. It said the Panthers are poised to offer Christian McCaffrey in a trade for Deshaun Watson.
I would, though.
Wow.
Like, as stupid as that sounds.
Poor CMC, bro.
Mike Davis played really solid, like, when he filled in for his role.
I know. And he's cheaper. Like, ooh.
Okay, as the Texans, do you even want CMC? I mean, you just traded Hopkins for David Johnson, who is basically a CMC light. Like, why would you do that?
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it's not like he's going to win. Like, I don't know. It's not like he's going to, like, turn you into a contender or anything. Like,
I think it'd be a 3-team trade. You'd have to trade, like, have McCaffrey go to a team that would be giving up a first-rounder. Because I think McCaffrey's definitely worth at least a first-rounder and a second-rounder to trade to the Texans as well. So, I mean, there's teams that definitely need – like, imagine if Christian McCaffrey – like, let's say the Bills threw their way into this trade and they traded a first and a second-rounder and then they got McCaffrey in the deal. Oh, my God.
Dude, the NFL should not even allow that. That
would –
oh,
like,
my God.
Just think of the hypothetical and then watch. We're going to go back and watch this and that's going to happen. But, but no, I think
that would be insane.
But no, like, this Carolina offense is honestly, like, top 5 in terms of talent.
QB away.
It's a QB away. I think their offensive line does need a little bit of work. I know their right tackle is a pending free agent, but yeah. But no, with the conclusion of our list, I know I got some sleepers that I'd like to mention. Honestly, I got T. Higgins on my list as well, Carson. Carson, now you're also going to like this one. I got Brandon Ayuk. I think he had a really solid season, but I think it's going to be interesting to see, George Kittle healthy and Deebo Samuel getting back into work. But I think Ayuk showed some, great flashes. Another sleeper, just banking on that Christian Kirk breakout season. 2 more guys. I got Will Fuller. I don't think he's going to find his way back to the Texans, with seeming like Watson's going to leave. I think Fuller's going to find his way to another team. And, I mean, this guy was going to put up numbers like similar if Calvin Ridley put this season if he was able to stay out there. But obviously got suspended.
Maybe because he was on PEDs, bro.
Exactly. But
yeah,
I still think he's a solid weapon, though. I mean, you obviously always try and find the week when he's going to put up this 38-point game like he does every year, Marvin Jones-esque. And then my deep sleeper, I got LaVisca Chenault. I think in this offense,
no, you didn't, bro.
Urban Meyer is going to tap into this guy, and I really liked LaVisca Chenault coming out of the draft. I was really kind of mad that he fell so late in the draft, but Laviska Shenault's my deep sleeper. Definitely going to be someone I'm looking at picking up.
Yeah.
And then
At my 11, 12, 13, I just had Thielen, Terry, and Julio. And then, like, my sleepers, I also had Higgins, not Hollywood, Claypool, and my guy, CeeDee Lamb. I think he's definitely going to have a great season next year. Don't
had
sleep
a really good connection with Dak, yeah.
Yeah. And I won't be surprised if they trade Amari to focus on
I was
Lamb.
going to say, what's your opinion on Amari?
I mean, I think he's definitely a good part of this team. I'm not denying that, but I don't think he's irreplaceable.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely finds his way in the top 10 of route runners in this league, but at the same time, CeeDee Lamb needs to be able to take the lead in that offense. I think he's more versatile when it comes down to it. But Carson, who do you got on your list to finish it off?
Yeah, I mean, like, to round out like the top like 15, I also like Ridley, Scary Terry, the 2 Minnesota guys, and then the 2 Seattle guys. It kind of, I guess, made like a top like 16 for me. I also had Will Fuller. I'm just really excited to see where he goes, because finally he had like his first fully healthy season, of course, until he got exposed for PEDs. But I'm really excited to see where he goes. I also had Shenault for the same reason. I feel like I like Chark as well, but I think with Trevor Lawrence, most likely Trevor Lawrence coming in, and then Urban Meyer, I think Shenault is the best. Like, he's the most versatile, I guess. He kind of a Swiss Army knife, and I think Urban Meyer's just gonna come up with some crazy schemes and really just like let him like hit his full potential. Whether it's sweeps or just straight up routes, or they're gonna find a way to just use him in a bunch of different ways. I also had CeeDee Lamb. I think Gallup or Amari, trade either one of those, get literally anything. The Cowboys like literally need anything else besides receivers, and I think you could actually get some real value. Yeah, some real value for Cooper. And I also have Michael Pittman Jr. That was my other sleeper. I think depth chart wise, he should be a wide receiver 1. Quarterback situation a little sus, but I think he's super talented. He started showing it at the end of the season. I think he's a guy like we brought up Higgins and the other guys, like he's primed for like a second year kind of glow up. So I really like him with the Colts.
Yeah, I think
I'll talk to his little bro. I'll tell him, hey, tell that boy Michael step it up.
Facts. Step
exactly.
it up.
But no, I think T.Y.'s on his way out of there, and who else they got? Carson's worst enemy, Zach Pascal, and then Paris Campbell.
We don't need to talk about Pascal. Yeah, which I like. I liked Paris Campbell at the beginning of the season. Sadly, like he, I think towards like ACL, but I like him as like a wide receiver too, like speedy option, kind of like just replacing like what T.Y. Hilton does. But I think Pittman's like the overall like better receiver.
Yeah, I think Pittman's
got really like the Claypool pick too. Jose.
Yeah, Pittman really gives me like kind of a poor, like not like super jacked version of DK Metcalf, where I mean, I don't think he's a speedster he is, but he's still a deep threat, still able to get down the field. But speaking of Shenault, kind of a thing that came in my head, I really get like a Robert Woods comparison out of him. I feel like Robert Woods is someone in Sean McVay's offense that gets a lot of jet sweeps. I think he got like 153 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns this year, if I recall, from the stats I was looking at a minute ago. But like, yeah, I mean, I definitely see Shenault. Like I said, I think someone like T. Higgins and Shenault are gonna be people that are gonna fall next year. And I think before we did this podcast, I was walking over. I'm over in the library here at University of Miami, and I was thinking, I was like, this is kind of the most unpredictable position in fantasy. Running back, kind of year in, year out, we really know who's going to be up there. There's always like one guy that sneaks in, but there's always a receiver that can go off any given week because there's more, there's more volume. There's tons more of them out there. So who knows what's going to go on next year? That's why we're here to give you guys our expert opinions because we're so masters of football. But without further ado, signing out. We got another episode coming to you next week. We'll be talking about some tight ends. Is Kyle Pitts going to get on our list? It's going to be in someone's top 5. Who's going to surprise you? Might need to adjust my list because I know I got my list in the works. But without further ado, signing out. Peace.
Peace. Dude, I like that point about the receivers because literally, like, there's so many guys, bro. Like, there's so many options. Like,
Literally.
that like they could easily like. There's so many guys that you could see putting up like 20 points in a game
Like,
or
okay.
something like that.
I'm gonna read y'all some of the top guys this year and tell me if you thought they would finish there. Like Brandon Cooks finished in the top 20.
No, I was not drafting him at all. I was like, hell no.
No one was
Even
looking
though
at him.
he's been a consistent option like his entire career, which is just
He
like
has, but like, did you really think he was gonna finish there?
no.
No one.
No.
Metcalf above Lockett.
No.
No one thought that before the season.
We thought he played well, but no.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson, damn near top 20.
Oh, he's someone that I think should be a sleeper. I meant to mention that. I
Yeah.
think he could be like because he's just got to work on his hands, which isn't really a problem.
Just don't know
for
what they're
wide
gonna do at
receivers.
QB.
Yeah, Big Ben's out there. Who knows?
I mean, dude, not Corey Davis. Cole Beasley.
Oh, that's probably one of the bigger ones.
No.
Yeah.
No one.
And Corey Davis too. Corey Davis.
Yeah, Corey Davis.
Yeah,
Low-key
Corey
had a nice
Davis.
season.
Corey Davis was like borderline a bust until like this season.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, he was. Wasn't he a first-round pick?
He won the Belinta
The
comp.
fourth overall pick, bro.
Yeah.
He won it
Yeah.
twice. The Belinta
He won
comp.
what?
The Belinta
Yeah,
comp
the
twice.
fourth overall pick too.
Damn, bro. Yeah, that's kind of tough. Dude, I feel like Chenault is who the Eagles thought they were getting when they drafted Jalen Reagor.
Exactly. Hold up.
Dude, I was looking at the top 10 from last year. Hold on, let me bring this up real quick. It's just like you said, like a lot of guys you just like not even. It's like what the heck? Like Kenny Galladay,
Mike Evans.
top 10.
Nobody mentioned
Yeah.
Mike. Wait,
I mean, he gets 1,000. He gets 1,000 yards. Mhm.
Him and Brady, they just never like. I don't know. They never like found it. Like, I mean, yeah, he had like a couple big games, but like, I don't know.
Well, no. I mean, furthermore, looking at this list. Wait.
Brady just don't target receivers like that consistently.
Okay, who knew
Yeah.
that Justin Jefferson was going to play that well? He wasn't probably even drafted in most leagues.
Not a damn.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like a good sleeper, but not like doing what he did. Like
He wasn't
having,
even
like, the best
drafted,
rookie.
bro.
Nelson
Yeah.
Aguilar had a great season. Had 8 touchdowns and 900 yards on 48 receptions.
Revived his career. Kurt Samuel too, towards the end of the year.
And then think about it. Other receivers that are probably going to leave. Juju's definitely out there. So that's going to make Claypool and Deontay Johnson better.
You think
Probably not
Juju's
too. Oh, 100%. They don't want his toxic ass.
Yeah, they don't want
Where
it.
would
Yeah.
he go?
Baltimore, I saw. They need a receiver like him.
Dude,
Because he's a big physical guy.
Going from Pittsburgh to Baltimore, he'll get fucking cooked.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. That's a good fit, but that would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if he's built for that.
He's not.
Then my boy
He's not ready to
Darnell
handle
Mooney.
that.
My boy Darnell Mooney finally got a
Darnell
breakout.
Mooney, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
shout
he
out
had-
Mooney, man.
He had 98 targets this year. Holy shit.
Damn.
Let's just see. Yeah,
DJ
this
Moore
question.
had such a sleeper season.
Oh no. That's why I like went on the receiving list. I'm like, huh? Like he had 1,000 yards?
60 only.
Hey,
60
Robbie Anderson was a big time sleeper too, because he started off like really good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, and just think like Travis Fulgham was like a top 10 receiver for a couple weeks.
Devontae Parker too before he got hurt.
Gabriel Davis had 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Holy shit.
That's pretty good. Oh, Jacoby Myers was pretty good for like a stretch.
Yeah, he did have
Yeah.
a couple good games. I mean, think about it. We didn't even mention Ruggs. Like Ruggs might be someone I draft on my bench next year. Like I think he'll have a good season too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ruggs, Judy's someone that I think had a lot of hype.
Dude,
Debo Samuel.
Debo.
Yeah. Literally just
I
saw
know
his
people
name.
forgetting about Debo. Well, I don't even want to like talk about the 49ers
Cortland
receivers till we
Sutton?
change quarterbacks.
Dude, what the hell happened to him?
He got injured first week. I had
Injured.
him on my team.
What was it though?
Yeah, injured.
Teared ACL.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, he got drafted high as fuck too. Like,
Yeah.
Jamison Crowder was like a top fucking 10 receiver as well.
yeah, Crowder had some good
Yeah,
games.
Crowder was nice.
OBJ was on his way there until he hurt himself.
Fuck OBJ.
Yeah,
But yeah, fuck OBJ.
Damn, bro. Cortland Sutton was so good.
Who?
Cortland Sutton last year,
Oh yeah, he had
1,100
Pro Bowl.
1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. 124 targets, 72 receptions. Man. I hope he bounces back. I hope Judy doesn't take his place.
Oh, I'd be mad. But I think I love Judy though. He just has so much swagger to him. His routes, he has
I
some
like
hands
Judy
problems,
too.
but his routes
That's
are
what I
like.
wanted the Niners to get, bro. I really, really wanted Judy.
I fucking jumped in a pool. I was so pissed
Y'all
off.
passed on Judy and Lamb, didn't you?
Yes, I was so mad.
Yeah, dude.
But I mean, Jefferson wouldn't have gone that high. In like now in hindsight, yes, but
Didn't you take it? Wait, but didn't you like trade the pick?
he could have. Ayuk went after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't even think like those guys would have like we wouldn't really be looking at them the same just because like I mean our quarterback situation was so ass.
Yeah, I mean, what's his face? Kinlaw wasn't bad though.
Yeah, Kinlaw was a nice pickup for us.
No. He's solid. I mean, Austin and Buckner decided to go God mode. Fuck that guy. I love him.
Yeah,
I was so pissed.
Mans was literally goated, but didn't make the fucking Pro Bowl.
Oh, I don't know, bro. That was stupid. Didn't he make like first team All Pro?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Shows that it's a popularity contest.
It's so sad to see freaking Cortland Sutton on the like. I scrolled so far down and finally saw him.
Oh, rip.
This is sad. Okay, well, I'm gonna download this because I actually don't have much longer in this study room. So, all right, peace, boys.